Alright, let me show you a little bit about what's capable with the Rubicon system currently. So currently, as you know, there's customer, which is easy, item, cart, all that stuff. Realistically, what we need to get working with is contacts. So I'll just bring up Doug Miller real quick. And as you can see, it brings up all the Millers through all the customers that we have. So if we jump over to Doug Miller, you'll see this. So this is the overview of Doug's account. You can see all my interaction that I've had with him from 8/26 anyways. That's kind of when I started keeping track of all this stuff. And I try to keep that as updated as I can, depending upon how busy the day is, etc. Anyways, you can see his open quotes. If you want to maintain anything, like he gave you a new bit of information, or he changed his email, web address, whatever, you can say Doug is purchasing shops all vendors. So if you click submit, that shows up right here. So this is good information to have here if somebody has certain types of quirks about them, or what they do, and etc. If you want to record and comment, say test, you can submit it, which just brings it down into that bottom area that I was showing you earlier, or you can submit and schedule if you want to schedule something. So you can do a follow-up schedule. So let's say we'll do it on the 24th at 9 a.m. Phone call, email, whatever, and follow up on quotes. We'll click submit. So not only did that put that test here, but that also created a to-do right here, which if I go into my task list now, I'll see it right here. So this will add every single task that you have throughout time, and it'll sort them by day. So if I click on this, it should bring me over and show me the task list. Okay, and let's say I followed up. Okay, so followed up on quotes. Submit. That deleted the task and now created this comment. So that's one step. Another step is the quotation system. So Doug Miller, all of his information is already there. I just click on quote, TBD, or if I want, I can use one of the addresses I have stored for Tri-State, which is Hartman's a big one. So I just click on that. All the information populates. Quote description, Hartman test. By default, the system is at 90 days. I usually like to do 5 to 14 days. Open, best way, FOB, terms. Now all this stuff could be default, but like I said, they haven't really done any work on this end. So terms should be default. Salesperson should be Chris Traeger. Shipping point should be fine. Ship via should be stuck on best way. I should be able to change that if I want to, but best way should be there. So I just run down to Traeger Chris. Comments. This is usually where I write my freight terms. So freight allowed. Copper base 3.27 per pound. And any other information you have in there. Internal comments are something that will not be on the quote, but are useful to myself or whomever else is working on the quote. Now down here is where I add in my my items. So if I click the little button there, it's just like looking for a number either way. So if I click that, let's say they're looking for 1,000 feet, it auto-populates. So at the bottom is the cost. Change this to MFT, which should also be a default. It's not in the system for some reason. Down here, you just 1 by 1,000. Comments just like a sales order. If I want to add more, I just click add line, add line, add line. Let's say one of them is an X item. X items won't be on there until you create the actual order. So you can just type in whatever you want. Philadelphia Direct. 1 by 1000. And then over here at the internal comments, Becky was saying how it'd be difficult to find out where you're getting it from. Lap cable Dave Deshara. Okay, now add. And that's all there is to it. And then you click send, and it brings up this information. So if I click that checkbox, and then I don't even have to type anything in here, I just click send, it's going to send off to Doug. If there's other people I want to send it to, I just put their email address in here, and you can put as many as you want. You can also use the fax. With Doug, he likes to have his request numbers up here. So that's going to be the subject of the email when it comes over. Okay, now I'm not going to send it just because it's a test, but you can see how powerful it is. Now I'm going to go back over to Doug here, and let's say we want it. So we'll open this back up, and we'll just click on create order. Now it's going to say error not found, blah 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 blah. So what you have to do here is you remove it and then just add the X item. So it's just as easy as it is right now to currently add an X item. Okay, so now that's going to record as a win. If we would have went through with it, it would have recorded as a win. Let's say we lost it. So we'll click maintain. Closed, lost, closed. Update. And you can see here it says closed. And you can put your comments in there if you want to say lost to Omni at blah 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 blah. Over here it'll also say closed. And also they'll expire too, so if it goes past 12/31 it's not going to say closed, but it's going to be out of your system. So what I like to do about once a week is I go through all of my quotes. So I'll click search here, this will just bring them all up, and I'll just open them up one at a time. So I'll look at this and I'll click send. Copy that and say, hey, what's going on with this one? Got any updates? So on and so forth. About once a week I'll do that. And then they'll say, hey, you're high, you're low, this is still out there, close it, etc. You can go through every single one like that. Okay, now this is good for a few reasons. One, if I'm out of the office, somebody can see all my quotes. They can see what I've been doing, where I've been going. Another is if somebody else in the office is seeing the same job, Jasper Compressor Station, for example. It's not mine, but you get the idea. They could see, okay, Jasper Compressor Station has been bid. So let's open the quote and take a look at all this. Okay. Now, one of the things that can happen here, Becky was saying how it was impossible to change the header information. That could change just like this. If I click on create order, it takes a little bit of finesse. So now all this is in the cart. Okay, now there's errors in the cart again. But if I change it over to Tri-State, and I look in the cart, and I check out, I can change this. Oh, well. In any case, on the next page, you can change it to Tri-State Washington with a sales quote. It's not going to show up into the quote system, but it'll send over as a quote. It's not going to send as a order. That's going to take some finessing because like I said earlier, it's kind of default right now. There needs to be some work done with MIS. Anyways, to get down to the meat of this, what we can do with all this information that's just not being used, leaving money on the table, is tracking these items that we're quoting at the percentages we're quoting at and showing them in the item location. So let's say 1230 VNTC. Bring that up. So somewhere in here we could display, okay, this was quoted at 25% and it wasn't a win. It was quoted at 22% and it was a win. And you can break that down by location. So you can find the sweet spot of where this stuff is hitting without leaving money on the table. Rather than just going to item sales history where somebody may have an anomaly of, you know, selling it for $5.90 and somebody else has to sell for $3.89. So you get the idea. That way you can kind of track where that sweet spot is on this material, and doing that for all material. Also keeping track of what quotes are out there. So let's say Tri-State's quoting a job out there with a bunch of this stuff on it, and then Scott also sees it. So when Rick pulls this up, he can see the last 5 quotes or whatever and say, okay, I see that Tri-State had quoted this. There's just a multitude of opportunity with this system that just is not being utilized. I mean, if Doug Brady isn't on this already, I mean, we're going to get left behind. Omni is light speed ahead of us on their quotation system, on everything they do. Windy City is the same way. Annixter is the same way. Wire Express is the same way. We're still doing this, with emails, with, 150 per thousand /m. I get that for, quick emails, going back for, 50 feet of this or 100 feet of that. But when we're doing 4, 5, 10, 20, 100, and $200,000 bids, replying to an email is not a good way to do it. Also, I mean, it just leaves the rest of us in the dark, so we're not able to help out when somebody is out. I mean, you've seen what it's like when Becky or Rick is out. It's just a nightmare. So, I mean, I'm not trying to, go around anybody in the office, but I know that change is tough in any organization, and I think that change here is definitely going to help Houston Wire, and it's definitely going to help the people on the floor, even if they resisted at first. So anyways, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't bring this up in front of the crew that I talked to you about this. If you'd like to talk about it, I'm more than happy to, but would rather not talk about it in front of everybody else at this time. I'm willing to show them how to use the system and everything like that, but I think it's just best if it's between myself and you for the time being. Anyways, I'm going to email you from my home address here. If you want to email me back or do whatever, I can run you through some ideas that I have and so on and so forth. And I guess we can just take her from there.